nam pa dong nam be sem jian tam ji de wa dong de du nga ra dang che nyo de la na le ba ra yang ta ba ra lo be xiang ju ren bo chi to ba ra xia.
All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies,
Ay, ya se cortó.
may they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly will I establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood.
Yi chi de san ma ji je wa de leng a yi song ge wa la go ma xie wa de leng a yi song ge wa la go a tu te ren ne song de ni ma san wa de leng a yi song ge wa la go.
Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind.
Sanje Chodan Soje Chonan La Chancho Varde Dane Japsun Che Adaki Jin So Jin Le Zonan Che Andro La Penche Sanje Andro Ba Sho Sanje Chodan Soje Chonan La Chancho Varde Dane Japsun Che Da ke jin so jin be so nan che ro la bin je san ji ro ba sho.
The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Ma nam ka dong nam nyam be sim jen tam ji ge wa dong de be ju dong den ba ra chu ro je dong ra dong dong ra ke ju dong ka ba ra chu ro je dong ra mi be de wa dong me de wa ra je nye ren xiao dang ni dang zhe be dang nyong la ne bara shu je hei ma nam ka dang nyam be sim jian tam ji le wa dang de be ju dang den bara shu je dong ra dong dong ra che wara chor je dong wara mi be de wa dong me je wara chor je nye ren xia da ni tang che be dang nyo la ne wara chor je.
May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering in the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Chab zhen jie tu mi zam len jian cha pi dong song yun la zhe zheng mi len ma do ru jian chang ma yi xuan gong bu xiao lan du yu da de zam jie qiu lian mi qin jie lo xue du yue jian 念给门巴仙呢讲，先着这是多不拉亲切罗。
Unequaled refuge, ornament of the world, your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You are the victor, Vajradhara, without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father, Jigten Sumgun. Continually, I think of no one but you. Compassionate One, grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I may realize the unelaborated nature of mind.
萨耶波觉周贤麦陀掌， re ra ne ge nian de jian ban de san jie shen la mei de pu wa ye ro ge nam da xian de jiu ba xiu.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields.
Owen Guru Devan Dragener Namandala Deza Soha Semchen Namje Zamba Tang Loye Cheda Cheda Ba Che Chung Tu Mon Ti Gua Ye Chu Jien Ko Lo Go Chu Zo.
Please turn the wheel of the vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
근데 함께 두개小姐来送中现今没到对基本这样小姐就为小了小这了都是想往这路那路他们没逃过跑出去边工个的什么的这边那没小自己那么也他们去用40万的说道具情节咯真的当然说可能的决定你不我点年来塞的我的那么学校了他可能的的就你不强求什么塞的当상하 niveau也当做把这送，真的原天 niveau 了嘛，做把这拉他切开是了，马上送，我这其他这里嘛，当然没有可能啊，从这样意思
Alati pyik tang sungati shokter bhava tuksum
啊，
pyik kerang ala tang ba
嗯，
i pe shokter
全马送他的，他的引起头的嘛，你这没得为的，
ante ti
这几趟这一上步的嘛，那是吧？你在在乎，所以多修正。
So we continue the teachings from yesterday. So we have mentioned so that's the text on the essence of the sutras and tantras, the fivefold path of Mahamudra. The essence of the sutra path is bodhicitta, and we have just mentioned yesterday the Yidam is the essence of the Vajrayana path, and so we continue now on the text.
在修正的可惜性呢，修正这些门的一些那个东西的说过，才在门都给可把的。他让他看一些那些你在我的股比就现在多听那的看，
Kerang gigit do it mindre.
这安装怎么都他的，
Wala do. Nasa hindi nga tang sa andon do.
这都在门都呢，连个有的话做开的。
Mm.
他呢，他这是运动这些的修正，nicht so so zum Beispiel bei der sich ne, was ist da? 他呢，他那就我这期天呢，他这里是他的这趟俺当初这各具体这趟去呢，这没会搞啊，没会去举办的，其他不举办，因是在那边没会去在开全部掐的有嘞。我听到了，他话从这个具体没会搞完了，掐的有嘞。我这里真的今儿国产杯开始从我这呢，这你电脑中堂，我觉得些有哇，我觉得些。 我真的感觉人不进的了，他们记得让什么，没会才能做到的，是有的是。我真的对话当多的，我把，比如说我别电脑，他们记喇叭中这个的是，这种不，他们他没会，这种给他做没会人对的是，他们那么的，他没会在去说把大红的，写当来说吧的。 让我吧，他这个嘛的是，没是这个嘛的是，我听嘛是有的年不，我在查的，我是么会拉马拉什么的，说把到的，这另外个没给对的帮，特别是对没给做，俺是没给写，这帮呢，让一把人干着个是的，都话这个，那说是这个嘛的是，我的记得这记得就真的出这么个了吧，是啦，电脑中出这么喇叭中对对吧？说，我真的出这么个喇叭的。 我听到对的是，我这你把这可是在模会的，那模会那么出口我从来模会提供的，那让什么做的多个的是，让什么做的多些的，也多些等于多些等于这个，那把的，啊听到这可是才听到这个是， 我这人定是这上马特啦，都觉得这不定这天定上这上马特啦，都身体变什么去有的是。我真的孙怕这开始呢，这那面其他这点呢，有那他们生意，那先给我的做这个吧，生意做啊，他这个到话的世界太大，世界去，那先的中道球，从那几个球是中道球，做的是网过，这世界球他们网球中道球，那网球都是这写了去了吧，对做的是，我这个，你对我说，啊。然后人老想不就过是拉比话的，我这人老想不就那的他们那里反正我这在路上轻薄嘛的，想不着学生世界学他们去，那往他们去别下下，我这恰我们在那个让一看，那是他们去别下下的话，这留下来不拉巴的，我这恰着学啥了吧？
我们那边当时怎么别啥人？
我那是别下下，这没那里吧，路上有人我其他会干嘛？这但就开始种了，做法有嘛了吧？
So the teachings of the Kagyu lineage, the Kagyu lineage is the lineage of devotion, a lineage of blessings. So devotion to the guru devotion is very important. And then that's particularly the case for the Drigun Kagyu lineage, which is really a lineage of devotion. Geba Gozangbaum had said that all the teachings consisting of the 3 scripture collections and the 4 classes of Tantra are all contained within this excellent path of the precious Kagyu lineage. So those 3 scripture collections are the Vinaya, the Sutra teachings, and the Abhidharma teachings. And these 3 scripture collections, they all are kind of each of them is a body of teaching focusing on one of those 3 higher trainings. And all of them actually, in essence, come from devotion. So the first of these higher trainings is the training of ethical discipline. And so if you have devotion to the guru, then anger and other afflictive emotions will naturally not arise. So therefore devotion is an antidote to these afflictions. And then when these afflictions do not arise, then you will also not perform the 7 non-virtuous deeds, which is the 3 of the body and the 4 of the speech. So the thoughts leading to these actions will naturally be brought to an end if there is devotion. So therefore, ethical discipline arises also out of devotion. So that's that first training. And that is related to the Vinaya teachings, the first one of the 3 scripture collections. And then secondly, when there's devotion, then you see the nature of mind that is without elaboration, the unfabricated mind. And from that arises that higher training, the second higher training of the Vajra-like Samadhi. So that is the training of Samadhi, or that's kind of the teaching by Jigten Sumgön. And then number 3 is through guru devotion. So because you have seen the essence of mind that is free from elaboration, you then also know everything that appears and exists in existence. So everything that is to be known, you realize the nature of that. And so that is because when you realize the mind, when you get to the root of the mind, then you realize the same for all phenomena. So that is called, you kind of gain control over all phenomena. And that's that third higher training of wisdom. So also Milarepa, for example, he was someone who has not really engaged in a lot of studying of scriptures, but he had realized all of existence to be the mind. And so even though he didn't have much learning of the scriptures, it is said that to him, all appearance and existence appeared as the scripture, so meaning that he realized all that appears and exists. So that he realized the nature of all phenomena.
전에 지난 때 라송에 돼.
Ngata na kikyo simba.
아,
Aya rama sang kikyo simba. Yine nga ina tak yun tigre.
야, 전에 다 지난데 아디고 비주레스. 상완가래 총마이. 상완가래 총마이. 라마티 당된바 인기지나 라페티 지버조상. 수관바 상제동 강다테 지바초 송로 다테 마송상 데 다테 수다스.
Ati kyuti ino to Sri Samputi di Chilaro.
그래?
Nga ati
인주 장도 해야 돼.
kido chikyu tini tingun la Sri
제연타로 와.
Samputi kawatu
야타.
tingun la
팀오래.
Sri Samputi
아,
Samputi gyu
삼버지 주도에.
Samputi gyu tini tinala is sangye sosu sukpona la yoris silola yo amaris
나네.
di chela tini lamen namcho ko tsukuri.
라면은 요 송사로 와도 제가 송사로 와. 어떤 로사 송.
Oh, okay, Atikub. Okay, there it is. Okay. So the great
자들이 사령 어떤 로사 아디고 비주 셔들. 아디고 비주를 강 테마로 강 그래. 야야.
yeah. So we are on page 11 in the middle in the Guru meditation practice. The great Atikopa Tantra states the Guru possesses the kindness which arises from the secret mantra. Whoever meditates on him in the mandala of his heart, in the palm of his hand, or on the crown of his head, will capture all the excellent qualities of the 1,000 Buddhas.
전에 다 들이 마송도 된도와 다 들이 마송 단들이 마디스로 준추 차바레스 하창님의 랭마메 다도 제가 많이 두섬다도 차베 인기보다 다도 자소다 라마타니보 시라치나 어요마 링보 시라치마 마데와 치고레스 두좀 차치고레스 요조테다 마지 치고레스 인기보다 다도 자소 마지와 치고레스.
So then the Malajaya Tantra states, not too close, not too far, yet always inseparable. One should prostrate 3 times to the Guru and always keep him in the palace of one's heart. So one should not be too close, neither too far from the Guru, but never separate from the Guru, which means basically we should never forget about the Guru.
전에 다 양카제케 스카제케 나키 맹아타 루탕 거바 소치 좀바다라 치자 셈라 모휘동표 차포 미비 주친지라베 라마 타마도 송네 로소 트베 상원도 나바다베스 갈레통 존주바도 미바 치바 인장 할바 참진신바 름보치제면 소 스타소도 자베나마 스타 초콩 송고레 선도 드윈텔라표 다트 마송차 리사.
One may exert effort by verbally lamenting, physically prostrating, circumambulating, and so forth, but lacking strong devotion in the mind and holding the Lama who blessed your mind stream as ordinary, one plants the seed of the wrong view of confusion. No matter how much effort and exertion one makes, one cannot receive the excellent qualities of liberation and omniscience. So, I mean, brief, one should see the Guru as having the nature of the Dharmakaya.
전에 다 배송원 되게 이비 줄에서 자반지바 미바 주에 바로 치마 연태 티니 연태 rabzo 남아미 센터면서 어떤 시당 알아서 나 라마의 개침부 차대요 자반지바 배창의 추파제 통공 그베전소 파통고 전당当天这라마 차대요래 손에 소 연태의 손나데 라마미는 산내로 통고시 그 말했어 이제내로 통고시 그 말했어 我天天那么开心不差的有的是，就当我让说他在你看去在陆中时间那他个人开心不差的有了， 我这世界充满不是我，这哪里这差的有嘞是。
And then the Guya Samaja Tantra states, without oars, the ship cannot cross the ocean. Likewise, though one may possess all knowledge, one cannot cross samsara without the guru. So the guru is very important. He's just like a ship's captain that brings you across the ocean of samsara. So even though you might have a lot of knowledge, you might know many things, but you cannot recognize the nature of the mind without the guru. Therefore, the guru is very important. And also in a mundane sense, a worldly teacher is very important because from that teacher, we learn everything that we need to know.
我真的些种是的，我上街那么的，他两眼的啥的，是的，我当时结果呢，也要嘛的是，嘛我上街那么的，他配备有嘛的是，他在上街几天那么有，说他在上街那几天在那学我嘛的是，他上街接嘛的，你嘛的家没懂没，他们上街这个那么突击亲戚了，晓得，那么对了，突击亲戚了呢，我在那么在了，他上街去突击亲戚了，我这当到那么可能是你们要过去，在那么说就的接。 这个但是所说人多才或者接送呢推上上街他们去公法的几块的，我天都提出了亲戚啦，提个那么提个的让就了亲戚啦个的是，我天都天呢那么的了做被上街多人想跟我打过的是，我这推军气没把了，我这军气没把做乱的，我想我是打这样啥的。
If one thinks that the Buddhas of the past have entered paranirvana and that the future Buddhas have not arrived and that the present Buddhas are not abiding in the here and now, in fact, not just one Buddha or two or 100 or 1,000, but all the Buddhas confer blessings on the Lama's mind, and he in turn blesses one's mind stream. So the guru, this in terms of blessing the mind stream and how it is is it kind of passed on from the other Buddhas. So the guru has engaged in practice and has gained experience and realization in his mind. And this realization is the same enlightened mind as the mind of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. And this mind confers blessings, and so this is kind of the lineage or the transference of blessings. And so similarly, just as the Buddhas have conferred blessings on the Lama's mind, then in turn, and the Lama also blesses our mind stream. And so then it says, therefore, one should meditate on the Guru in the nature of the perfect, complete Buddha Vajradhara and supplicate him unceasingly. And so therefore, we have to see the Guru as inseparable from Vajradhara.
我真的当个人不去，他总有了台北间那边就过年有，台北间那边就去了两天有的是。我这里我一个人带中药嘛，一个带中药嘛的是，我这里可的是吧？咱们这里有的是，所做台北过有的是。这边中共中有的开始呢，前两天的敲在情况下面，那里那俺他那有是两天。 总有的我这里的挺流行的，所说是台北的某会去用了，得去拉出去啥的是。
Guru Rinpoche had said that to all those with faith, I will be, when those with faith think of me, I will be right there with them. I'm with their body. I'm with them, but I'm sorry to say, I'm not in physical form. So whoever supplicates to me, I'm right with them. And so the main point is to have devotion. Also, Jigten Sumgen said that when your mind abides in Mahamudra, this is where I am. So therefore, you will find me there. And so this is how we receive the blessings through devotion.
哦，真的，他敲在前部，我等下听啊，我听到他写成双成着才去，他他那路宁波敲在前部写的，可是宁波啊，我听那路宁波敲在前部写，我在提纲他了，罗学啥的对吗？
So then we move on to the 4th of the Fivefold path, that is Mahamudra. So we completed 3. And then the fourth one, Mahamudra, is said that the essence, the Mahamudra is the essence of the natural state of mind. So we mentioned yesterday that there's those 5 essences. And so the essence of mind is Mahamudra.
then that's all I make go some to Rankilunga is in me to chorness, the Lama Zorwadam, the Rankilunga is in me chor. That's all the simple to what Jivik, then Zorwa Debusho, so to Zorwa Dabne, or ten Rankilunga is in me to chor son Zamtene, or that Kurwa and Yang Andy with Chotamti rank semis, or then couldn't they Chotamti rank semis, or that's the thing out of Sam to them, true to true son to the Kurwa Charter for the. 아마 주인한테 양양대 근데 참 샘케 차르게 아와텐디 샘이스 어ත는 샘네 도마데 제바미바 남카다베 네바이 소다 도마다베 남카다베 제바미바이 송도와 남카다베 동바니레스 산토 나바르 칸야 일라메지 상야기 똑바로와 상메 똑바 지금 말스 멤베 똑바 지금 말스 일라메지 바 냠바샤 세오다 일라메지 냠바샤 일라메지 냠바샤 다 마잉 바체네 한 일메지 세르베네 칼 일메지 다 일메지 제 지금 도상 한텐데 고션 마데 라와므다 샤다 일메지 라고 차로 쇼사리 일메지 냠바샤
So it begins, thus one's body, speech, and mind, and those of the guru become inseparable. So first we supplicate that we may realize Mahamudra, so supplicate to the guru. Then it says, all the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are one's own mind. So right now our mind is in a state of confusion, and this is what has created samsara. But when there is no confusion in the mind, then that is nirvana. And that means that all of samsara and nirvana, both, it's all the mind. And then the mind itself is primordially unborn, like the center of the sky, or meaning that it is empty. Within that, the mind abides without any conceptual thought, positive or negative. So abiding without a conceptual thought is that you abide without distraction. And when one experiences the certainty of mind, which itself does not exist primordially, that is Mahamudra. And so this word here, when the so it's I don't know, the English is a bit funny, but so anyways, in the Tibetan it says that so to not mentally engage the mind, I guess it's without the conceptual thought here. So literally it says without engaging the mind mentally, one should, without positive or negative. So without engagement doesn't mean that basically we just we don't do anything at all, but it just means that we have to settle in the natural state.
Well, I thought you lama na te yorwa zosan kun choche sang tigi ni yer me shi de chena simyen da sanji ningbo jian sila orwa. Wa te zosan kun choche se zo ba sanji chokres. Chok de doni de simyen tampi la cha de yores. Wa te simyen ke simyi dang sanji simyi yewa yo mare zosan kun te ni yer me jes ni yer me rigu chen sanji 我的这有钱的上街呢，大的上街你没见，是我的人有吧？那甚至都是在上街特别开，具体要这种的，这趟俺当时但这想去那路程我些嘛些嘛，最快的是打这种有啊，我提起，我的呢这有钱的人大的上街你没见，是我大的上街你没见的是，我这种的我提起。 我真的想到嘛呢，有蛮同学，结完没别从了，那些节是在那敲着情报些。我当时想着那路要不说娘谁呢？说要不在大街呢？但这里些有嘛的，你得嘛的，你以前我不懂的要有嘛的哇。我这没的，有嘛用是吧？有嘛用，没别同了那些，有没别同现在，但有没人他吹的嘞？那有些呢，有把嘛人节外讲嘛这个，没把嘛人困得过一些是。 跟着嘛，从就外面浪是哪个哇？在桥上忙那的哇？干嘛把人就都是桥上忙那， Yoba Mani, Jerve Jam Mazix, Meba Mani, Kunde Gunjis, Gend Mani, Sunjo Melan, Yoba Mani, Gason, Decomarata, Sontio, that is. What is Sunjo Melam, Zondo, what is it? What in a shady battle, Chada Chimboservanis? What in a shady, and that's also this. Or that's a new windows and the social sort of the Yamlan Chingu, social the chain that they. What is that? Hanam the reason is younger. What in a shady is.
Getu main di karare. Uma chimbolamra getu main getu karare.
Gendo Mani, Sonjo Melams,
Gendu main.
Gave us on your mothers and gave us on your mothers. The Yoba Mani, Jerry say your man, Mayba Mani, did you on you, Yoba Mari, Mayba Mari, Tinium gave us and gave your mothers, the own Yoba Melambes.
Ani galta main.
Genda your mothers. You mean touch the rest of that.
Yeah, and so then in the Uttara Tantra, it says that the state of perfect Buddhahood is the Dharmakaya, and the Dharmakaya is emptiness, and this emptiness pervades all sentient beings. So the mind of all sentient beings and the mind of the Buddhas is therefore inseparable. And it is just a question of seeing or not seeing it. But when one sees it, one sees that one has actually the cause for being a Buddha. So it is just a question of whether one sees it or not, but otherwise the mind is the same. And so when one experiences the certainty of mind, which itself does not exist primordially, that is Mahamudra. So you experience that the mind with certainty. So when you look at the mind well and you see the mind, you gain a certainty. So there's a kind of an experience that arises of this is what it is, or not is. But there is no such thing as like existence or non-existence either. So you know that this is what it is, but it's not something you can say this is what it is or that's not what it is. So it's beyond those extremes of existence or non-existence. It is said that it doesn't exist because even the Buddhas haven't seen it. But it doesn't not exist because it is the basis of samsara and nirvana. And yet there's no contradiction between them, because it is the unified path of the middle way in the Madhyamaka. And this comes from Mahamudra supplication prayer by Karmapa Rangchung Dorje. So it is experience to be gained, this certainty that comes from the experience. And when you engage in practice, at some point, as sort of a trust, a belief arises. You just know this is that you feel that this is what it is.
Oh, tene ta ngarang so, jetang ta ngarang so ze xiaozai qianbo gong du ze. Da xine de di skom na ya bo, da nga so xine di skom ya yin, da ka sang na so da jian yidam ti jian sei da wong ti de shi jia bra de xine te la da. Jian sei tang de bei zuo le nga so di skom ya yin. Wo te da sang bo te la ni you de xine ko na ni. Wo te xine ko na ni, yo te yu du da qi le xian song wa, da na le xian song wa ni you de.
And so for the practice of Mahamudra, first it is good if we practice shamatha, calm abiding. And so that is what we are going to do now. We're going to meditate a bit. And so yesterday we spoke about the Yidam Chinrizik. And so we can therefore practice shamatha through practicing Chinrizik. And so there's two kind of sides to shamatha practice. That is to focus on the outside of the mind or within the mind.
Or maybe I think Japan got at least somebody said this coming is high. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Then that's it. 다 류네 가상다 류네 되는 가서 가상 휴사인바 와테 지테는 다 담보 칠을 셈송와들라 칠을 셈송와들라 아니 요레스 칠을 셈송와들라 니 요디테네 들라 다바다 마다바니 요레스 아니 되는 다바다 마다바니 요레스 되네 되네 다 마다바 세스카레스나 랑두도 가반다모데 야나 혼반다모다 chen di la so bata karong se chane wa luni da che de mayin ba samsung gores wa te mayin ba samsung gores zong le de da ze chen de won dim de won zo je dang a so ji qin bo yo ra sha zai xin na ka ye ti gang samsung ya le la wo yo les wa te ne yan yu ge ma sta zo wo te ga zo de gom je de yan go yo ma mayin ba go sho da yan so ne gom yo ma le wa te ji mayin ba chen ba de go sho de chen ke na gom kes 我前把跟那光开，前把明的光明一说的话，我自己提出的说了，说是我的老婆说讲过来是，我在情况来说，穷那的要先等我来说先这个的是，然后在情况的那个修情不懂那在第先边脱来的怎么当，但是没把修情不那懂那先嘛的是嘛什么当，我在这去吧，今年的说的是，咱不是大致嘛大吧，你把他把的。 다 제외고라 셈지바 제외고 셈지바 데 카르전 드유스다 상제 오파 메노제 고소 샤 메나 반남가 원평 데 레스바 랑 드유스라 바 와제 원평나 또 컨트롤 메주 또 화세 남도 뭐 컨트롤 메주 마인 바 체네 세네 티소라 다 세마인 바 샤고레스 조고레스 타바 제외고 셈지야스 와테 나베레스 와테네但然后上届过了相送的上届叔叔，但是我爸没那可能那叔叔口，但我爸没公羊，我爸没放假下出来叔叔去的，我挺注意为的，这块的这帮大说吧，他的上届其他的呢，我挺注意的是，我真的现在工厂印度啊。
So yesterday we already spoke about the physical posture. So now for the way we sort of place our mind. So we said there's two kinds, outer and inner. So for the outer first, there's also two kinds for the outer. There's the pure and the impure. First, the pure is that, so the outer placement of the mind from an impure level, or the impure outer placing of the mind is you place something ordinary in front of you as your object of focus. For example, a pebble or a piece of wood, a vase, some kind of image that you focus your mind on, so your mind stays non-distracted. And the reason why we use these so-called impure ordinary objects is because we are more familiar with them. And so because we are familiar with these ordinary things, it's easier for us maybe to stay focused on them without distraction, because non-distraction is really the most important thing. Because if you're distracted, you're not meditating. It is said that if you are skilled in mindfulness, you are skilled in meditation. If you do not have the skill of mindfulness, you also have no meditation. So you have this object that you focus your mind on, and then you let the mind settle loose, kind of in a relaxed state. And then it's possible that the mind may become agitated, many thoughts, or may become unclear, like dull. And so when the mind becomes unclear or dull, you can direct your attention more to kind of an elevated and a higher spot of your object. And if the mind is restless and agitated, then you can direct it lower. So that is the impure object or ordinary. And then the second one, the pure focal object, is to look at a Buddha image as your focal object. For example, the Buddha Amitabha. You can place an image right in front of you, or if you don't have one, you can also visualize it in the space in front of you. And if you focus on the Buddha Amitabha or a Buddha image, then not many thoughts will arise in your mind, and your mind will be undistracted. And also the imprint of the Buddha Amitabha is then placed into your mind stream. And as a result, it also purifies your negativities and obscurations, and you also receive the Buddha's blessings. So we have those two ways of outer focus.
tene dati shine mada batala ni se wala da cher komya de na lo komya ni lo wa te shine ti ni pote na chen ma ni lo da cher komya shine tena ni lo wa te ni ti ni pote la mada bata ta ba sa san ji komya ta ba na wa te ni yo de cher komya te wa cher sem som ya ti shine ni pote kanong ze la da so so ke Samsung dieses kommt ja ins Gamma-Kashis.
So now again to recap, we have the outer within the outer shamatha, there is a pure and the impure aspect, those two, and we've said the pure focal object is to focus on a Buddha image. So you can pick whichever one works the best for you. And so now we're going to meditate for just a few minutes on this.
哦，真的，但是其实呢，但是哪了想送啊？的，哪里马大把的差吧？哦，真的马大把的，但是想提来，让我想起啊，太重的了。让你个，但是让你个别马当，那边是等着，提来个不，我这样出来的是，其中就是马脏是，我这是想送是。我当然都管不没去，但研究就但研究嘛什么研究钱，但提刚想送的嘞，我提就是南托嘛，旁南托接没了，南托但在南托的下送，但南托的了，可能这把球嘛送，这个南托可能去嘛的，我在南去呢多回南接我想送是我在考虑呢，但是原来说你们俩去下的买研究钱呢，我在南这些人是没个想这个的是，你把这到这看他把这那个结尾个想这样的是。那然后肯定个变蛮特别的，就这样说，个穷穷者，当然说说的刚是的，个看穷穷者了，这光我这个然后那么多的蛮人把钱的，就是去过的，这情某穷呢，这块的情况穷呢，是这样说去，变嘛这种相对，真的，我把穷呢，这样说去，吃完了，我但是相对呢，这个也是，我真的现在提你。我们很多男的想什么呀？他把这马大把这他把是你，我这想从真的我就现在第一时候，我们那这个做，当然说我们这对的，但是这推出人不是大面那这推动情况嘛，是啊，连长波版呢，我这哪有了？超在情报工作穷人我什么来的皮，我这对穷，这推穷长嘛，我是推穷长嘛是过去的，这样就我说第一是这个样意思。
So that was the outer shamatha, pure and impure. And so now next there's the inner shamatha, also that has pure and an impure aspect. The impure aspect is to focus on bindu, a tiglen, kind of a light sphere. And so you can visualize at your heart a lotus and a moon. On top of that, you can visualize a very small white light sphere, like a bindu, that is about the size of a pea. And you only focus on that without distraction. And that is actually a way to practice without abandoning the thoughts, taking them as the practice. And that is because even though thoughts arise, if you do not cling to those thoughts, they cannot actually do anything. That is how you take them as the path or practice with them. So you just always sustain mindfulness without distraction. So that is the impure, and also with mindfulness, you always remember those instructions of the guru. And then the pure, in a way, of focus is to focus on, again, a Buddha form. So you can, again, think of lotus and moon seed at your heart. And on top of that is a small form of Chenrezig, about the size of a thumb joint, about an inch. And so you focus on that without distraction. And then if you get sleepy or restless, it is the same as before. So for example, if you if there are like many thoughts within the mind, then you can like lower your focus to Chenrezig, so lotus seed. And then if the mind is more unclear, a bit dull, then you can raise it up to Chenrezig's crown. So these are the pure and impure for inner shamatha practice, and we will also meditate on that for a little bit. And actually, it's good not to meditate for too long. For beginning practitioners, it's better to have shorter sessions. Milarepa also said, first when practicing Mahamudra, keep your sessions brief, but again and again, but frequent. So now again, we will meditate for a bit.
对呢，他这啦是，他这啦多这啦，sem那怕了，搞那东半年工资没，是我在东半年这上怕路制度，他就工作要有嘛的是，可是他就工作的话，俺说东半年，像东年就在制度多啊，东年送的那的真把它强着个多啊，和那外面钱真别钱是，嘛的嘛，对吧？啥叫别这他个，真把穷那大碗面是吧？真把穷大碗面是。我跟真把穷的大把嘛的种，天的，这样东半年那送点地块的，我真的，错点的也看到工具没，错点呢，想到也不有嘛的，看到有嘛的，也没得的是有嘛的，看到的是有嘛的，他，看到有嘛了吧，嗯。也他看到工具没事，我真的对吧？当忙完吧，当推什么上街那么就讲，三级我马上先对别上街那么去，同样嘛，忙完上街那么去，同样嘛，他去个那么就去，这上街去在晒一个嘛的，种多三分我才，我他就是种多。
And then there is no meditation projecting emptiness by the mind, meaning that you shouldn't think that is emptiness or conceptualize the meditation by thinking of, oh, this is the empty nature and so on. Because if you think of emptiness in a conceptual way, it's again another fixation, a grasping in the mind. And Sakyaba had said that if there is grasping and you do not actually have the view, and then neither looking inside, is there anything to meditate upon, such as shape or color? So the mind has no color and no shape. The Buddhas of the past, present, and future haven't seen the nature of the mind. So it is not anything that a thing that has been seen by any Buddhas of the past, present, or future.
真的，咱别上网这边来，也是我不他们去车外也风波刚刚电气，从他这边那么的，就大没吧，200年，然后这么多人嘛去东半年，然后一是我的风波刚电气，从这去那么多次，到那的就大没吧200年的是，然后这么多人，他这边没吧东半年去了，然后也的是这种多。
And the Guya Samacha Tantra states, free from all existent phenomena, the aggregates, element, and increasing fields or the sense sources, fully abandon grasping and fixation, the equality of selfless phenomena, the primordially unborn mind, this is the nature of emptiness.
真的，他的多就有大概1000多，很多大概1000多。我大概1000多呢是想到到那上街一边都些光，算到那上街一边都些光过的种多。我真的我想到从上街一边都些光，他推成那把他们去光把吃吧，他估计可能多看样，依然没有完全是我的推的那把他们去，他光把吃吧，他估计能多看样没没完全过的种多。你那这等下说来汤包完了讲，这第一个来看不有了，这说光嘛讲呢，光家族嘛是第一光嘛讲，那我是这。那听着一种那个嘛了哇，我听的这是我们家过去的，说因为我们家呀，他那的，但这边的没来，说3万英镑钱呢，说1万英镑钱呢，说我们家呢，咱那路把下过去了，没这个，好像忙起来3英万的，他说拿卡都不说，然后说来长不白呢，我听的，我这种我说的是去过去嘛，他们今年半年这么的，咱们的这个给骗个嘛了哇。我听着咱们这样，咱们光没叫，光没家吧去，这来路光去看这样去看的，我听着，我听着的是，我听着长不半年的这个说千万买人吧去，千万别送去，我听着这光讲啥，我去去过去。
In a sutra called the Daka Yeshibu Sutra, the Moon Wisdom Sutra or something, White Moon Wisdom. Anyways, in that sutra it says that when you realize your mind, then realizing your mind, you should meditate within an awareness, an awareness that sees that as the Buddha, and then one should always sustain that meditation. However, you should never mentally conceptualize that meditation into a meditator and a meditation, but just allow the mind to rest at ease. But so for beginning practitioners, that is a little bit difficult because we do in the beginning have to make some effort in meditation. It's in the beginning quite difficult to just like directly put ourselves into that state and think that this is what it is. Because we think this is what it is. That doesn't mean that we arrive there. So just like that. So we have to also do some practice, some habituation, and training the mind in not being distracted. And then from within that state of non-distraction, then the nature of mind reveals itself. But then for the most part, more beginning practitioners are distracted. So what arises in their mind is mostly distraction. And so because we are mostly distracted, we have to make some effort in habituating and training the mind first. If we just think that, oh, everything, all the thoughts are the same, it's all equal, just only thinking that alone will not make it become an experience. It's not going to be so beneficial. So in the beginning, we do actually need to meditate, make an effort, because otherwise, if we just think that, oh, this is what it is, then there is this danger that we actually may slip into laziness and not actually really meditate. So a beginning practitioner should mainly focus on mindfulness, undistracted mindfulness.
真的这样，啥别几把都是就类，甚至到理解没关系，主要参起光把这参起去年也些呢，我们这没别光把下是我在两节基本的这老人的把的是，老人的他读书他一开始有了读书去呀，高中去呀，我起码的起码的先把这趟这把这光嘛的是。 但罗巴参起身，罗巴身呢，但罗巴那去参起了票，从这去罗巴参起他车吧，这是让一东半年的，那其他地方是东半年的，这我们是，但是我们是那个的是，我真的去参起啊，但去年这让一米吧的是，这用写过的是，他们去看样嘛，但我本身的路就那个么样的，样差别过嘛是嘛的是，我听这种口才听，但谁听这吧的讲呢？
So the mind abides effortlessly, and then in the Havacca Tantra states, if one does not meditate consciously, that is the meditation of all migrators. If one understands that everything is dharma tam, that is non-meditating meditation. So the yeah, so the words are a little bit different in English. So so basically the understanding this non-meditating meditation here. It is a meditation that transcends the intellect. It is a natural abiding, transcending the intellect, and so there is no conceptual thought, no discursiveness within the mind, no fixation in the mind, because that is not meditation. And so it is this natural state of emptiness is experienced when the mind becomes free of all grasping at a subject-object duality, the universe and beings on all of the subject and object that we perceive. So that natural emptiness that is experienced is what is called meditation. And so one understands that everything is dharma tam, meaning that so dharma here means all phenomena, so the nature of all phenomena. So when you do not grasp it, whatever phenomenon arises, it becomes naturally and truly empty.
我做对了呗，确实看干嘛呢？所以说，可是从这个的单位结不意思，但从嘛的这把参起这的单位结不意思，从这个的单位结，因为面呢，关别结不意思，我在蛮应不过去的，我说原因着的嘛，不原因着的话，我因为面呢关别结不意思，确实吃呢就别结不意思，我在确实别从参起上吃的就别结不意思，但是这道面呢，这个我就，是的，这道面呢这个我就这个结不意思，啥的，但这个才挺最恰的一个这种，你再看看嘛，这有啊。
Then Tilopa said in the Ganjit Mahamudra that when there is no grasping at a subject and object, that is the king of views. When there is no distraction, that is the king of meditation. And so that's really key, not non-distraction, because this is really where we are mostly caught up, we are mostly distracted. And then it says, being without effort, effortless activity is the king of conduct. And when you are free of hopes and doubts, the result will be made manifest, or we can say this is the king of fruition.
等那些种是打光明头这吧，他们就托吧，什么那位那年去托出罗中的光吧，这瞧着清不的，可是话那个嘞，可是当个车康阳，那么对吧？什么马球被通了光吧，车从被车机我们机跟被从上这边让啥下是真差不多，我在这里。我在南头前在我们家后在我们这了，大家多你可能在我们这口那边呢，咱们在当多咱们的。 Ang rande una minne zam zai zam ande sare zai zam no dam mare zai zam no dam te chine tiki te nam to tiki yaren roje khma ta tis ka no shore te nam to je wa khyo te li ta se ma chu ba ti na chen ba ma yin wa chine rang sa kha ko re te rang sa kha de ne da te cha za chin bo sen na da te res rang sa kha so te chen ba ma yin ba chi go re wa te ne 我这准备前边去运气没吧，后边讲话下午是我的准备前吧，别从没别说吧。 那别从没前把俺说唐伯刚用个嘛的，他前些自己是带过的嘛，在别从没前把在用的，咱们去年用个嘛的，这忙不急着的，这研究个了哇。我这这个唐伯别从这写过的，针对是做的，针对前不可哇，这他前把就去没办事，你看从我了，针对前不可哇，这前把就去没办事，推进去没被前把事哇，推进去没被前把事了哇，针对前不可哇的。
And then the expectation, this is meditation, or the fear, this is not meditation, or the mind's abiding in the thought, I have received such a profound teaching, will not help one to go past samsara. Therefore, abide in the uncontrived mind without meditation or meditator, naturally as it is. In this way, spontaneously sustain unceasing mindfulness without effort. So we often have these thoughts about our meditation. First of all, there's this thinking of I am meditating, that is thought of meditation. And then there are different like doubts about our meditation. So often we wonder, is it okay or not okay? Am I doing it right or not? This must be right, but then maybe it's not right. So we keep thinking this way when we're meditating. And so these thoughts have to stop, and we have to place the mind in a natural state without distraction, without any mental fabrication. And that is what we call Mahamudra. So the main point is non-distraction. And so now when it says here, the making no effort, right? And so how greatly one can abide in the meaning of non-conceptual thought, dharmata, without making effort, is the way to unite and the one taste. So without making effort here. So in the beginning, however, this won't happen just like that. So first we do need to make a little bit of an effort in mindfulness, because if we don't make that effort, then we will forget all about it and we will be distracted basically. So this won't happen if we don't make an effort in the beginning, even though it says here effortless, but in the beginning we do have to make an effort. And Jigden Songden said that we need to have an ongoing state of diligence. So diligence actually means being diligent means to have an ongoing, a continuous state of mindfulness.
真的，这就是么来的，这种的，西巴有钱人话呢，假如生活当话同时到的，西巴有钱人说那他假如生活当话同时，我这他蛮有把过去的， 别讲了，别的才下着，他的讲说在那了，就是现在说那听那切罗就用那些南块领破着的是，破着用的是，所以这去那把上面说啥去那把我的是在那说的，我听的我那说对我们家的，那在我们家的那多想把有些但这样做在用这么着用个着那做这么着，我听这样说呢，我听这样说呢，对吧？小说，但做这成百万人吧，去讲过去了没？这那么多甚至在有上那么多建筑、人出这剧情面中这个人，成百万人吧，现在那么多去听那这这你们俩提的，就真的说我们讲来红的也是可能，这那么多提，你把通个嘛也是，我这种可的。我这样呢，也是那么多个嘛，穷的，就个嘛我自己当话通说我们那里去，我那么多个嘛的，我的是个嘛是穷的，个嘛我自己去当话通过的是我的，这种什么的，这些是过去的，这些名呢，个嘛我自己投个嘛的话，那么多个嘛，在我们国家呢，这那么多的是，这就是我们那里边，我在那3天的人不些是。nam to kuma ma la ku sam tian de chu le chi sa ko nam to kuma ma bo re go bo re sam tian de chang nam shuo de yang kan do si zong do me guo zhe na de yo我在那些的三天的国家呀，这南岛的国家学的些呀，南岛的我只要了这些是过学，这些民呢，对我是做个马上要做这些是光节的开启不的，那在你们有人不去多年，那这些在上一做了，准备他这些是来从哪有啥的，现在在他们把做些全把的是民呢，准备全把是来做个嘛的是。
Milarepa said that when thoughts arise within the mind and you are undistracted, and the thoughts will naturally settle in themselves again, even if they proliferate for a while. And so it is just like a ship, a bird on a ship. So when the bird flies off the ship, eventually it will come back to the ship because there is no other place to land than the ship. So you just let it fly, and eventually it will come back. And so even if some thoughts temporarily arise, the main point is to be not distracted. However, if you try to abandon them and you sort of focusing on these thoughts, then actually there will be an endless proliferation of thoughts coming from that. So the main point is just to let them be, but to be without distraction, in full recognition. And in this state, the mind will always naturally come back to meditation. And this non-distraction leaves those thoughts without any power, so they won't affect you in any way. Or Milarepa also said that these thoughts are like a thief that you need to recognize. So you need to recognize with mindfulness when thoughts arise. If you don't have any mindfulness, then if there's no watchfulness, you won't see a thief invading. And so you have to see that thief of the thoughts coming. So with mindfulness, you will see that the thought is coming. And also Milarepa said that there are many of these thieves, many of these thought thieves that want to steal your precious jewel of meditation. But there is a danger that you will lose your precious meditation jewel to these thought thieves. So therefore, it's necessary to recognize them, to see them and seize those thoughts with mindfulness. If you are unmindful, you won't see them. So therefore, it's quite important. And so when we speak about this effortless meditation, this really refers to someone who has already practiced for a very long time, and eventually for them, it does become effortless. But in the beginning, it will not be effortless. We have to make an effort. We cannot actually reach the effortless state without first making an effort.
我真的在那儿去年那边没错呗，从头讲吧，我们今一来吃米样，就今年就下，是我但可惜那那下过去了，是的，我他一来康阳没几把是吃米那的，但蛮人把的，他吃米现在蛮人别那了，那把的，咱们这那嘛当时就说上街头上你是米吧，吃吧人现在那边头上下面过你是米吧，人什么？
Thus, how greatly one can abide in the meaning of non-conceptual thought without making effort is the way to unite the one taste, non-duality, wisdom, dharmakaya of the holy gurus and all the Buddhas. So then this part here, however greatly one can abide. So what is saying is that you should abide within the state of mindfulness, however long you are able to abide. So you stay in the state however long you can. And then without making effort is the way to unite. So this part is that, as here we understand without effort to be non-distraction.
我这几天呢，我大家当然说这其他那里他这个龙这样子，怕一些大概一些多设计或者多，我听龙那多啊，想不到那一些因为上级线头面这边这些รา的工种多。
And so before I mentioned this quote by that sutra, so it's actually here, the Bhagavad-daka Yeshe Sutra. It states that if I realize the mind that is wisdom, fully meditate that the Buddhas do not exist apart from that.
这几天呢，大都去年节完没别讲了的，是我去年节完没别讲了的，我唐伯这个让说的是的，我们家过去的，真的在说的，那种可把强对了，提的我们家我们这把提怕他头个了，我这把都怕的是他多些，但是呢，我说这句了嘛那有啊，马大他把他西顿那么大，可能身边强求是把他这一个接触都是马大他把他是。신도 남다 코렘스 와다 마다 베네카 심찬라 그레스 신도 남다 코렘 라와테 코렘데 심찬 창조 심바 티기 과시주스 마다 베네카 심찬 다 베네카라 창조 심바 신도 남바 타 베네카라 산제스 와텐주송 그레송 오라데 텐주 땅가나 소제냠나 야보 치톰나 텐주 초소 야 콘트 로토야 텐주 용 그레스
Always abide in the unborn nature. So always meditate. So now we wander in samsara, and if we meditate, that purifies the obscurations that cause us to wander in samsara. In the Uttara Tantra, it says there is the impure, pure, and utterly pure. The impure is the temporary, what we call the temporary state of sentient beings. The pure is the state of bodhisattvas, and the utterly pure is the state of Buddhas. And so if you practice well, then in this way you will gradually progress.
真的，就当在这个做光家呀，来了往去的呀，是真的，老多那么严重，千万没打那我的样那样子这么大，真的在尊重起啊，偏给天主这么大，我说的，课上学嘛的，不是，现在我们刚把意思，我们家刚把那个掐下了吧，我提起天天搞是给月子吧，做呗，长久通我玩起来我送的吧。
And sometimes when it happens that you get a little lazy in meditation, and then come back to thinking about the four thoughts that turn the mind, especially death and impermanence, and think about this again and again, and that will help you be more diligent in the practice. Yesterday we mentioned that the legs of meditation is renunciation. Then it says, between sessions, seal the root of virtue with the dedication to achieve perfect Buddhahood.
真的，大体晓得行不的，他逻辑，他这他不进步，给为怎么我话吃，他不进步，我话吃，这其他这里嘛。
So that concludes the section on Mahamudra. And then next is the essence of skillful means, and that is dedication.
真的，但我话这是可以进步有的，但我话这开始在呢，这给为怎么他说这工作进步浪嘛的，这咱们的那去穷呢，给我做完都给的老给的，这这做完都的这，但我话去相当别强了，相当讲做这可能了群体关系路边呢，这讲做嘛讲话是刚个嘛的，是我真正那就给为怎么就用的上嘛计划是，那都个的是我话是去想的，我自己对对我话啥。차표레 시장 착쟁거든 거 같아.
And dedication is important because we may have accumulated a lot of virtue, merit, but it is said that many different conditions, such as getting very angry, can destroy all of these virtues, all of this merit. And in order for that not to happen, we dedicate those virtues first. And it is said this is just like adding a drop of water into the ocean. If you add a drop of water into the ocean, it will remain there for as long as the ocean remains. Or even the slightest virtue will remain until you attain enlightenment if it is dedicated. So that's the 5th point of the fivefold path.
真的，他俺当初这里嘛，真多啊，这当然是牛毛吧，那边多花钱就花了嘛，就把了，是吧？花了嘛就完，这吧，他们去偏把当对吧？穷完多呢，强怕人家强求什么情况，但我把去过的也是，真的经常花钱去完都实行上岸去，吃两桌半多呢，一当来接点工的，我把去过的也是，在那边投了多少钱，那么的原天。那边原天是说说人中多呢，那么呢，没回去呢，我把去过的也是。他多花空的空头，拍完多呢，他娘家你是没变多呢，我娘家的接触你是没变多呢，但是瞧着钱不同了，娘把小呢，这我把去过的种多啊，我这几率大概身边这么些，要是那没变，然后他把做长久人不错把就这种多，所以我把今天打把就那是那个。
So it says, dedicate without the interruption of other thoughts. If you wish to benefit and bring happiness to the migrators, dedicate with love, compassion, and bodhicitta. If you wish to pacify the outer and inner obstacles and accomplish the activities of the secret mantra, dedicate by seeing yourself in the form of the Vidam deity. If you wish to appease and be accepted by the Guru and achieve his excellent qualities, then dedicate within the state of devotion to him. If you wish to progress in the realization, experience, and inseparability of meditation and post-meditation, then dedicate within the equipoise of Mahamudra. Thus say, may I and all sentient beings achieve unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment. So seal with dedication in this way.
真的，这里他才行多，其他人我把心头多把一点讲，怕怕讲别这边多的，就算讲别样先过把的，去那他们去建议，对别这了，然后的看看，我那么觉得这是你真多把的说，是吧？他听到这种过来，去他们去建议的，说说贴吧当对吧？没把起的，但我那看的他们真多过来是，我这样对真的俺那说，但说说在他身那么大去。莫浪带过去，这别强调现在我说你们俩这是去用呢，你们俩去边那看了，他接着我把去给了我，天天都在，提空了在你们俩提个搞了在，但有人过来你们俩去多呢，在别你们你刚刚我但你们俩去呢，那共产党在别强调是呢，在说打起去，可能他给我也帮助不呢，我把去。干些做些，可能给我啊，听到了话去在，南头牛毛把那说在，就是牛毛的话我记得，这是怕压花去，我这压花去呢，真的给我钱，我把钱呢，这压花有的是。
In the Arya Ratna Kuta Sutra, it says, as all phenomena depend on conditions, so the goal depends on motivation. Whatever one's aspiration will be achieved immediately. So basically, whatever prayer one makes, it will be accomplished, whatever aspiration one has. But we need to have a pure intention. So, for example, if you do a practice, after you practice, you dedicate those virtues. And you, for example, every day in the evening, you review your day and you dedicate. And so if you find that today I really practiced a lot of virtue, then you rejoice in that and you dedicate it. And if you find that today I had a lot of negative thoughts and afflictive emotions, then you should confess them and then dedicate.
真的，但是他是给别找吧，他们去强调什么艺术往去切说那么大一些错从有的，这个能给他求进引导呢吧，身边他们去了，就是吧你啦，是我的呢， 다 장초 생님 보티 왕 치고 소리스 다 방법도 제 심장 탐지 통도 다 상제 뭐와 치쇼 잠다 군조 장초 생 왕 치는 뭐와 치 대 동담 장초 생지 왕 치는 다 뭐와 치시 칭캔다 뭐와 치시 유다 뭐와 치 개와 참마 라지 마죠 다 쳐다 chen 보나 뭐와 치 어떤 뭐와 치야 되네 다 동담 장초 생 왕 치는 뭐와 치 어떨 때는 또 동담다 이게 소니기 송된 그래스 리뷰다 나베타다 추지 냠바스 텐 추그레스 심지어 탐지 남가다 냠바스 텐 추그레스 온도와
When all the root of virtue within the power of the two bodhicittas and the results of the unity of merit and wisdom become equal to the limit of space, the Dharmata expands and the extent of sentient beings, and one realizes one's mind in the nature of Dharmakaya, then one will be free from the concepts of dedication, dedicator, and virtue. So basically, we must dedicate from within a state of bodhicitta, and we do so through the power of two kinds of bodhicitta, the relative and the ultimate bodhicitta. So first, when you dedicate for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, that is a dedication of the relative bodhicitta. And then the dedication of the ultimate bodhicitta is when there is no thought, no concept of a dedicator, a dedication, and a virtue to be dedicated, an object to be dedicated, because you realize that all of these do not inherently exist. And so in this way, you are dedicating from within a state of Mahamudra. And in this way, through the relative and the ultimate bodhicitta, you are accumulating both merit and wisdom as vast as space.
드네 다 제다라 샘지 추구랑 이 소와데 도발라 뭐베 유탕 뭐베 켐보 와 개바 좀 집에 그 로탕 집에 밍밍 뭐와 초도 저와이 소와다 메바 메 뭐와 지구르스 커서는 나랑 소다 제 제레스나 마 드렘치 안제 차자 신부강 샤 타제 뭐와이나 전나 이리 커서는 나랑 소做的단 삼단 집아 켜는 거 개와는 개와를 차는 거 뭐와이나 뭐와 차 손나데 안데 그 지케 안제 야 타바 탐지 쳔베 콤판도 톱톱고 말해 스카선 제 차서와 어제 치료 어디 텐드레 zonre
And so the special Maitreya said the special
테다 샘 초크 라지 도발라 뭐왜 유탕 뭐왜 킨도 집에 개베 잡아 좀 집에 로체네 이거 뭐가 초도 저라 이데스
So this part about realizing one's mind as the Dharmakaya, then you will be free from these concepts of dedication, dedicator, and virtue. So this is the non-conceptual, unobjectified dedication. For example, when we practice certain Rizik, and then we perform the dissolution, and then rest in an non-conceptual state of Mahamudra, then this is Mahamudra dedication, the supreme dedication. And sometimes it happens that we grasp at the virtues that we have created. So there's an attachment to the dedication, the thing that we are dedicating. And as long as there is some kind of grasping, a fixation to the virtue that we have created, we cannot attain liberation.
그 참배시네 용수고바 제발은 대치발란 초인 용수고바다 민판 되네 민미 남바지 친치 말로 신이 더 정도 다른 말로 해 민미고바 됐다 좋아서
So then Maitreya said, the special full dedication is the supreme deed. It is the non-objectified and mistaken form. So this is the unobjectified, unconceptual dedication.
先生是他听我话是咱们现在的他他这里马尔松对他这些人多这开始呢这有啥的南托南这里样东牛毛南这里样东这里开始他这南这里样东他这里开始这有啥的话这里嘛
this completes dedication, and following that, there are a few more sections. There is a taking thoughts, taking afflictive emotions, and taking like gods and demons as the path.
哦，等那这到了是秋天皮，那把人没脱呗，俺头去别去，见了这边老外是娘们跟俺脱些都换季，刚季吧绑架他，你米包过吧意思，他没脱那都会绑架，没脱吧了，娘们了，抢那给就是各位来讲上节去用天没用不是多呢，没用那是。我的俺那做在娘们俩去的，但是这趟俺脱这个了哇，俺脱没把说透过嘛哇，这俺脱这不个嘞是，但俺脱去给。nam to je na nam to te ta pa nya yin mi ga nyam nya chi ko re se han sam sang ga so che yo wa ta ze nam to ma chen de ya ze ge wa nam to ma che yu ring bo gong de te me to ga cha song da tin tik ma re sta ga na gom ya bo ja song do me to ba ya bo ne to phin do u sam de ji bu ken tik ma re se o te ne te nyam te cha song na o de ko cha dang te ji guan na cha do ge de o nyam te cha zo ma re se o te ne pa nya ni mi ga nyam nya chi ko re se这没多少个就是娘恰松，这上节课但是南上就透过嘛的，可是是恰是吧的。
So, okay, so it says, in order to, so that's taking afflictive emotions onto the path, in order to abide within the non-conceptual state, dharmata, one needs to realize the non-duality of abandonment and remedy, the adventitious afflicting emotions arising from conditions and conceptual thoughts. If one has not realized this and is attached to the experience of the non-conceptual state, which is the abandonment of conceptual thought, this practice will not lead to the achievement of the Buddha's excellent qualities, even should one meditate for eons. Okay, so when we practice, thoughts will still arise, and there's actually not much we can do about it. We can't actually reject, make them go away completely. What we need to learn in practice is to practice without rejecting and without inviting in. Without adopting or taking in. So that is important, because some people do think that it's better not to have any thoughts, and that's what they kind of work toward, the state of no thought, non-conceptuality. And so then when there is no thought, and they feel that now my meditation is going really, really well, there's no thought in the mind. So that is actually not enough for meditation, because it's sort of an attachment to a meditative experience. And even if it's an attachment to a meditative experience, it's still the same attachment, like the normal attachment. So what we need to do is we need to practice without rejecting and without accepting these thoughts. Otherwise, as long as we cling to them in any way, we cannot develop the qualities of a Buddha.
哦，真的让那娘们们，那做做话，刚就讲讲做拉不出嘛，他那样，人家讲做的，全部的让起来慢点吧，行的，是我的，别俺做那多还是一件呢，他慢一把你们俩去的呢，过当咱做娘们吧，他什么的做光刚来回的是。别在那也是，讲说了，他在拉不可惜我呢，讲说可能这里把的，讲说这个嘛的是，对路被看干嘛的有啊，让军上也去也不产的，是让的穷，让些啊去不产的，去了什么的那也是，去了么可惜听了这个嘛的，这把的这啦这块抢着个了，我在那也是，我在现在是去年几万没被，俺的娘们吧，那破那说这讲。去年几万没被让些的嘛的，说他去年几万没被让，但娘们那破毛不这个的，是那的，说娘们要不去头呢？真的，这个得有嘛？现在他刚说，这样的是个来可不得说的，他做的这些事要不带过去呢？真的，那不是差不多了吧？差不多个来可不多啊。
And so, no matter how many thoughts arise, so whatever thoughts arises in the mind, such as the afflictive emotions and conceptual thoughts is not beyond the nature of the unborn dharmata. So whatever thoughts arise, most importantly, you should stay without distraction. If you practice without distraction, then all these thoughts and emotions will, in the end, dissolve in that meditation. So you will always come back to the meditation. Just like the waves on water. So it says, no matter how many waves arise from the ocean, they are not separate from the ocean. So no matter how many waves arise, they will never always stay waves. They will always go back into the ocean. Tilopa said in the Ganges Mahamudra, as thoughts arise from the mind and dissolve back into the mind, just like ripples on water. The ripples never stay on the water. Eventually, they will always go back into the water. And so similarly, it is with the thoughts arising in the mind. So the conceptual thoughts, they are not beyond the unborn dharmata. So within the kind of unarisen dharmata, many thoughts do arise, but they do not stay if you sustain a state of meditation. And of course, that is a little bit difficult. And the most important thing is to practice with mindfulness. You need good mindfulness, because these thoughts are not easy. They're quite stubborn. They're quite their thoughts are quite stubborn. So sometimes it's quite difficult.
真正打把桌面多嘞，是康嘞建嘞几把，真嘛些，这啦街边上就有嘛，建了上来才东把，康些东西完了，好有意是我在哪多，我真的康些建了几把的，几把有嘛的，建的建可能让人钞票嘛，建这是有的让钞票嘛的，建对这啦建的街边上就有嘛的，建了上来康些，这东把的，我建可能让钞票嘛的，你那俺让做吃肉的，但是咱们这在站着在偷呢。 왜 시당랑 선생님이 지연했을 때 남포도 비하자 제기네 진투 때 남포 정말 차도 그러와 어제 루팅문에 소닥시 지리세 소소소 냠내 야고 제치 소소 강지 섬노 야고 제 당시나 자티 남포 그런 추송되면 지 오늘 신 소소 주제 남포서 좁대요 말에 나 좁대요 말은 삼성티 코코 체차 왕쇼노 그래 원인아 다들 소 냠내 강시 전시된 디스 섭자 체제나 第水的这说咱们来讲那也特别好，咱就用这个的话，我才用过的时间了，大概现在东半年康些东半年了，花有些，我到东半年了，花有吧，结果是，什么的，但在东半年的是的，在康久满久期间的这个嘛的是东半年的是的，我东半年的东年军这当时军这是那的有的，我在东半年的花有过是方面起那这个嘛的种的。
And then it says in the Moonlight Sutra, and that which is born from conditions is unborn, and because it has no real birth. So meaning that even any condition that arises does not inherently exist, does not truly exist. So it is unborn because it has never really arisen. And so, however, for example, when we cling at appearances, for example, you hear a sound, and then that might frighten you, and then that becomes the condition for negative thoughts to arise in your mind, and from there on, you have a chain of thoughts proliferating in your mind. But if you really think about it, if you really look at it carefully, if you really practice with it, you will actually see that these thoughts are just mental confusion, and actually these thoughts do not actually really exist, and they're not really actually there anywhere in your mind. So it's just sometimes they seem to be so strong that you become controlled by these thoughts. But if you are a little bit careful and you look at them, then it is possible that you will be able to sustain a state of practice. And then that which depends on conditions is empty. Whosoever realizes emptiness is vigilant. So actually, so this last line, it literally says, whatever is what we call emptiness, what is emptiness is actually so-called vigilance or heedfulness, conscientiousness. So in other words, it's not enough to just think that, oh, it's all empty and then do all kinds of things. But actually, emptiness is like a quality of karma. So karma is like the projection, the radiance of emptiness. So emptiness dwells within karma. So they're unified. So therefore, we can't just do whatever we want. We have to be mindful. It's not okay to become completely unmindful.
我做对路别送我那路吧了，可是呢，那么点进真经了，千万没被马错啊，送你心田可乐，千万没进那路吧，是我他在哪里？奇怪说的也是，
他的松松，
那么点进真经了，千万没把马错吧了，送你心田可乐了，送你把心田可乐那也是，千万没进那路吧，是我他上马进吧是在错你把谁呀有嘛那种嘛的，东西的这小那这个嘛也是那说。
Tilopa said to Naropa, he said, Naropa, until you attain enlightenment, until you attain enlightenment, the unborn state, due to the interdependent origination of appearances, you should never separate from the two chariot wheels of the twofold accumulation. So in other words, you should, until attaining enlightenment, you need the two accumulations of merit and wisdom. So it's not just all emptiness, but we need to accumulate merit.
哦呀，真的，咱娘们把那边多把康姐讲见面多把在秋口因是结巴没把你们从就long秋多把因是结巴没把多把上元节期讲接着把这周边个因是多把也不看多次嘛，说马着把真我问你个因别是我但是马老想这事，但是这个基本上人啊，你推出起来有马龙可能。
And then realize the unborn nature of afflicting emotions and conceptual thoughts. That is Dharmakaya. The non-dual nature of birth and non-birth is the Sambhogakaya unity. All actions, positive and negative, arising from conceptual thought, which is within the unborn, are Nirmanakaya. The fact that conceptual thought is established nowhere, whether through shape, color, objects, or signs, is the Svabhavika Kaya.
哦，真的娘们那么多都快吃了，刚才讲那头里没吃吧，娘被当娘驴呢，都快先看嘛就说先怕松死。我咱娘们穷穷的，可把当穷钱的，那娘们俩去买济南这个咱们这这点这个穷的，都把先看嘛就先怕松的，往他妈说嘛，拿不当或者是拿不当的，娘们俩去过的是。 那别讲身边些当家的多家家来说吧，做我这边，他们在强求成绩过是，俺点公布是吧？在强求成绩，我真的做我在哪当时强求成绩，难怪当年身边那边他对外上的，东海上些牛上街拖把的说，咱们那些当这怕哪当呢？真的强求成绩，我在强求成绩的时候也当他是的。 我真的在各种的当地情况，那马上呢，咱把全把气是的，用我们那边的话题，让现在一米，一把这现几万米别秋季过了，俺这两把的下是，我这是下这是马老乡的。
It is important to hold mindfulness without the interference of conceptual thoughts. Whenever the gross and subtle afflicting emotions and conceptual thoughts arise, give them no importance and avoid falling under their control. Instead, take them onto the path. And so we have to take them onto the path. That is key here, because it also sometimes happens that when an afflictive emotion arises, we sometimes feel that this is not a big deal. It's just like a little affliction. So we don't think it's a big deal, and so then we don't practice with it. And if we don't, then there will be a negative result. So we have to take them as the path. And then, in order that all sentient beings equal to space, especially those harboring hatred and attachment, have happiness. And so then from here on, then how we take them onto the path is that if, for example, one is someone who harbors a hatred or attachment, then whatever is this emotion that arises, we have to take it as the path. And we take it as the path by practicing the fivefold path of Mahamudra, which begins with bodhicitta. So this is the first part here. So first, one such a person takes the afflictions as the path, like hatred and attachment, will think that may all sentient beings have happiness and be free from suffering, and may they swiftly attain unsurpassed enlightenment. So first you cultivate bodhicitta, and then next, so with that mind of bodhicitta, then you visualize the Yidam deity, and then you remember the holy guru at a secret place, as you mentioned yesterday, and then you merge your mind non-dually with the guru in a state of Mahamudra. So then you settle within a state of Dharmakaya.
我真的，我当今天总共给sabchu de juchu se ta yoro juchu senge ma ma jun ra no shu sa wa. 我这种公判的，我他程度大的，这我点你们来去牛毛的，他们牛毛的拿当时牛毛提供买把现在的长久3G，这里当来公家他在那些期，真的这也晓得情况多的。 我这期真的牛毛把这南托不离那里了，这里的之前就上节沟通图见没过了，这点就满意。所以我程度在光托送了，我真的听这个这开始上节沟通图的。 但是说你们来别的看这个穷个的种多。
So these instructions were from the profound words of Richard Sudogan, his teachings that was given to 10 disciples, and so this was his intent when he gave these teachings, and so as we just mentioned before, the intent is that when an afflictive emotion arises, we take them as the path by first of all being undistracted, and then, as we just mentioned, by cultivating bodhicitta, sustaining non-distraction, the Yidam deity, the guru, and then practicing Mahamudra. And all afflicting emotions and conceptual thoughts are one's own mind. When abiding in the state of equipoise, realizing that mind primordially unborn is the Dharmakaya, each and every afflicting emotion and conceptual thought will give rise to the inexhaustible wheel of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind activities. So basically the result of practicing, if you're able to practice this, the result will be the attainment of the Buddha's 3 kayas, and enlightened body, speech, and mind. And so basically we accomplish the result according to the practice that we do.
哦，真的别几把都解决了，是咱苦巴汤的两眼的，你需要把买苦巴让几这把两眼的是就把，是咱苦巴的两的你需要买的是，苦巴让几嘛着吧的，写送那的两眼的是个是，而且咱苦巴让几嘛着吧，写个嘛，苦巴差不多咱们什么嘛头，让几嘛着吧真的也没去个吧，咱说，咱两年这要不去呢，这是咱这我不是说吧，让几嘛着吧，这是多少个了哇？
The Havajra Tantra states there is no dual existence of samsara and nirvana. When one realizes the nature of samsara, it is said to be nirvana. So there is no real samsara or nirvana. So if to realize that samsara, there is no real samsara, and that is what we call nirvana. But we have not understood that. We think that this world, all of this existence, it all is real. It really is there. And when you tell them it doesn't really exist, they don't really believe. But if you practice and gain some experience, then you may actually gain some insight into that. You may actually see that it doesn't actually exist that way.
哦，真的，他可能说呢，真的，这里话，牛毛吧，南巴多吧， 강제将工作不强求现在往前的健康那什么场这个规矩上的报备去牛毛能跑这张忙完这前头规矩上的成了忙不一边那么多话帮着没差是哪多的我真的当然你们去到没得在那么多可惜忙的这些一些忙给的也是可是呢在你们去他们在这里有啥吧在忙人吧现在全别给你们在去他们一那上上当然说是强多那么多忙不在一起我做他在这几天中我在全把专注过打从专注挺蛮大嘛其实全别专注挺蛮大的那是原因这里怕吧这那么往说的说的
So then whatever afflicting emotions and conceptual thoughts arise, they should be within the relative bodhicitta when that is realized free from birth, cessation, and abiding in the nature of the four kayas, then no matter how many emotions and thoughts are present, they are the activities of the four kayas Buddhas. So one should not see these conceptual thoughts as needing to be abandoned. And so basically there when we practice often many different thoughts arise. And we are distracted. But then if you practice without distraction, no matter how many thoughts arise, so thoughts may all arise, but no matter how many thoughts arise, all of these thoughts appear as as primordial wisdom or the Buddhas, and it is just that and sometimes we don't recognize that because we are distracted when those thoughts arise, and that's why we mentioned before. Thupten Somgen said we have to be diligent in mindfulness. And it's because we do not have enough diligence in mindfulness that we are always distracted. And then when we are distracted, then we will become controlled by the thoughts.
他那场主要场叫他们来说，记住，见呢，那错是了，帮家他，你们是多不些我，是我的那的，主要叫他们，那叫他们有了叫他们来说，那基本的，那基本的这样的，咱们俩去，基本是，那我看着错不是的。我真的就我在让心没着吧，这些多了个。如果在东亚是在兄弟，别刚刚有让俺我提纲了，东亚考虑都在大。我真的东亚在现在在让心没着吧，这个的话，俺让从新巴这边呢，真的东亚是在说这里东亚休憩的，这新巴接的在当下的，这里现在是都想没去吧，休憩不休差着是吧？我这时候在说你们两个家都这。唐伯这东亚看着穷，东亚看人都，说句的看着东亚做的几多，你不七八看人都，我这带进了哈，这是偏好啥的，这都你不起名呢，或者这都你不起名呢，当晚弄出去了，你马上没来的这种了，这都你不起名呢，我记得都你不也没得事，这多少呢？这是偏好有啥人，俺说，听他几波的，好像在几波呢，在罗下去，好像东亚在提供就没做吧去，我等着去给了我。这简单那说，这简单把用这个，简上报用这个，这上元你跑这了切花很多，真的在你们要不去你们两个子呢，这帮这天就去过说的，这期就是没来的发现呢，但是主这种这么多，这主这种真漂亮，那往咱们说人家都是的，冲把这种能做。冲把这种去，但是咱们这是就是没来，咱们这提起来，确实们个的都不给钱，等于那快去太多。帮过就是真正làm đó thì đấy mình là thấy chúng chia ba thì làm đấy, khai sinh thì rồi cái chúng sinh chỉ có sao cái là có chuyện người bạn chịu được không được thì nhầm là chỉ thì rồi phản thọ sao đó thế, nhầm mà để rồi nhầm đâm chỉ, nhầm đều mà rồi nhầm đâm rồi, sẽ là làm đó, thế thì thế thì cái nó số thằng gì này,帮家thằng nhầm bộ như thế này多把钱我，是在帮家的nhầm bộ như thế này, cái多把钱thì chỉ có cái mà nhà yên mỹ cái nó tốt vậy.
Then it says, all varied conditions of happiness and suffering related to friends, actions, and so forth should be integrated and realized as non-duality. And so we we experience all kinds of things. So sometimes we are very happy, exhilarated. We happy about the place where we are at, or we're happy about the people we're with, or the things that we do. And so when you feel yourself all happy and elated about something, then look at the nature of that. What is that really? Does it really exist? This feeling of happiness, and so excitement. And then often also, of course, we encounter a lot of difficulties and really bad things happen, and you suffer. And really actually look at what is this suffering really? If you look at it directly, then maybe you will see that it does not inherently exist. It is just because often we fixate on it, on this, that this is how it is, that then our experience of suffering becomes stronger and stronger, and the stronger it gets, then the more we fixate. And in the end, we are very depressed. The mind is in a very negative state. And so we should try to practice with the suffering and really question it and look at it. What is it really? How is it in the mind? Is it really actually there? Is there something present? And how did it get there? How did it arise there? And then and how is it when it doesn't arise there? And so you kind of really look at it and try to get to the bottom of it. What is this suffering in the mind? And so then you may see that there's actually nothing really there. Marpa told Milarepa, when there is no difference between happiness and sadness, then you have actualized the instructions, the teachings. So to see things as everything as the same, as equal, there's no difference between bad things happening. That is the best for one's practice, because often it's the case that we get so excited about good things happening, and then we indulge completely in those things. But then on the flip side, when something negative happens, it becomes just as extreme, so that it becomes unbearable for us. So good things happen and bad things will always happen, but we have to look at them and really look carefully at what they actually really are, and work with them. And that's also what Milarepa did. Even though Milarepa was practicing in mountain retreat in isolation, sometimes he would go down to the villages and beg for alms, and there was a purpose of doing that. And so when he would go begging, often when very unpleasant things would happen to him. The people would take his robes, or they would insult him, or they would throw dirt at him. They would call him "you beggar" and so on. So he would go through all kinds of insult and humiliation. But for him, it was all the same. It didn't faze him. And so there's a purpose, a reason for a yogi to go into, to put themselves deliberately in these kind of situations, because it really enhances their practice. Because it is said that in a constant state of pleasure and bliss, you cannot achieve a state of equal taste. So you need to experience those negative conditions. And so and then when you experience them, so in those moments is where you recognize that they're all the same. So then here it says, so you then take them free of abandonment and its remedy. So without accepting or rejecting them.
哦，但是他这样做这边没事，这是个这样成毛设备老的话是，这样成毛这是个来看不有，他这样做这问题，这对你们来去做嘛都，他在这里可可以是送了的，他那个让说，哦，这样他这都是做的，这部分呢现在全部明白去，这部分呢在这个是全部明白，在现在全当他那个让说，要不有的，可是呢，前面他这部现在这些都不太了，东岸全部这用个的。 我这首讲的是，啊，昨天们去特别是开情报有的是，我些吧，这老马就有，现在可能老马就有啥的哇，老马这那不叫嘛就一般的，真的他工商这些松树是， 上节送手续，那么呀，咱要不这些有啥的，要不这些，这卡不得走一下，卡不得就对啊，这是的，要他让求上节是嘛这些是，这你们说的啊，他这说这样的，我听我的，你们俩这是哪的两种呢？他这样听我的，他就用口了哇。
So it's really when those negative when things get a little challenging that we have to practice, because when things get difficult, then that's it, when it really gets and when practice is actually a bit hard, because these difficulties are not easy to deal with. But it's in those moments that we actually know where we are at with our practice, not in those moments when things are going well. So the instruction would be that if things go well and you experience a lot of joy, you should try not to get too excited and indulged in it. And then also when things go wrong and there's a lot of suffering, then we should not become completely overwhelmed by it. And so when there is too much excitement, when there's joy, then the other side of that is then there will also be a lot of depression when there is no joy. So that is why we should reduce kind of the elation of both of them. So when you do not become so excited when things go well, then also you won't be so upset when things do not go well. So once I have an acquaintance, a friend who is a Lama, and he has a student, a disciple. He is a Westerner. And so one time, so he told me that his student told him that he feels that he's already enlightened now. And then the Lama said, oh, that's great. And then he took a needle and he poked him. And then the student was like, oh, why you poke me? And he said that, but didn't you say you're already enlightened? And so this is basically a bit of a test, because when things go well, we don't really see it, but we really see the level of our practice when we encounter these kind of conditions.
야, 전에 다 세상에 전에 도저히 치료 취소 제가 스트와 지나치는 같이 치고 있을 때 소피야 누가 在追的?
Sophia, are you here? So Drupal is asking, in the afternoon, should we do like half an hour of questions? Sophia, are you here?
Yes, it's okay. We can do questions in the afternoon.
Like half an hour or so, or how long?
Well, no, we can finish the teachings, and the time left, we can do
Okay.
questions. No, as long as he wants, not yes, as long as he wants.
맞아요.
He can decide.
같이 가도 자나 되도 저와당 이 셴 간랍 뒤도 셴 참아 저와당 저거리
야양, 또 야방.
그랑 같이
또 야방도 야양. 안 돼, 다 앞전에 see you. 초칼락.